Ayan, hello! Welcome to another Facebook Live here at 8 Letters Bookstore and Publishing. This is your book curator and your host for today, Cindy Wong. So, yes, just got back from the biggest book fair in the world, the Frankfurt Book Festival. Frankfurt Book Fair. And as of the moment, just a little bit of news in our book industry. The up and coming Sharjah Book Authority. So may book fair din na nagaganap or book conference na nagaganap ngayon sa Sharjah, UAE. So well today, I know maulan ngayon sa buong Pilipinas. Sana nasa maayos kayong kalagayan. But today we are going to launch a book. Okay, so it's going to be bagay na bagay dahil maulan ngayon. Mas maganda sanang o mas maganda sigurong pag-usapan natin ang temang pag-ibig. Total, malapit nang magpasko, malapit na mag-Valentine's Day. It's about time to talk about something romantic naman. O romantic nga ba? Okay, so without further ado, we'll launch a book entitled Karinderya Love Songs by John Pucay. So sabi nga ni Eros Atalia, okay, just a little bit of introduction. Universal man ang usaping pag-ibig at sex, pero dito sa Karinderya Love Songs ni John Pucay, pinatikim tayo sa daigdig ng Gen Z. Naku, pasok pa ba ako dito? Ang kilig at kilabot, ang haplos at dagok, ang pait at tamis, ang anghang at tabang, gaya ng karinderya. Iba't ibang putahe para sa iba't ibang panlasa. Tikman. Ayan, Jan, pasok.
Hi,
Magandang
Cindy.
hapon.
Magandang hapon.
Hi.
Thank you for having me here. Good afternoon.
Ayun. Thank you for gracing our Facebook Live here. Finally, mailalunch na rin natin ang Karinderya Love Songs because if I'm not mistaken, una itong lumabas, no? During the Manila International Book Fair last September.
Yes. So ang official publication date niya is August, pero parang medyo naging mas malaki yung kanyang distribution during the Manila International Book Fair. Thanks as well to 8 Letters for having me there.
Ayun, walang anuman dyan. So, pag-uusapan natin ngayon, hindi lang yung naging proseso mo sa pagsusulat, but also all the things na pwede naming mabasa dito sa collection na to. Tama ba? Isa tong collection?
So isa siyang in a sense, I guess, kind of a collection siya kasi para siyang konting snippets ng iba-ibang kwento, kaya siya parang love songs kasi parang snippets siya ng iba-ibang kwento about dating, pero meron tayong sinusundang iisang character. Well, hindi isang character, meron tayong mga sinusundan na character, so yeah, it's a novel na may snippets of various stories inside.
Ayun. So, sabi nga dito ni Eros Atalia, napakadaming putahe, no? Napakadaming snippets or iba't ibang panlasa ng pag-ibig. Curious lang ako, bakit mo ginamit ang metapora na karinderya sa akdang to? Anong meron sa karinderya?
Nasubukan mo nang mag-online dating, Cindy?
You asked the right person.
Yeah, kasi nakuha ko yung ideya ng karinderya kasi nung parang alam mo yun, di ba, nasa Tinder or Bumble ka, nag-swipe right, swipe left, kadamihan swipe left, ganyan. Tapos parang alam mo yun, yung meron yung time na pupunta ako sa karinderya, naghahanap ako ng parang food na parang hindi ko sure kung ano yung gusto kong kainin, pero alam ko makikita ko kapag nakita ko na, parang ganun. So naghahanap ako, nagbubukas-bukas ako ng mga ulam na wala akong trip. So, parang alam mo yun, parang kang nasa dating app na puro ka swipe left. may mga masu-swipe right ka, ganyan, may parang matitipuhan kang ulam doon, parang ganun. So parang para siyang lugar na maraming ulam pero hindi mo necessarily gusto. Yung maraming nandun. I guess doon medyo nagsimula yung ideya nung karinderya kasi to be honest, nung una ko siyang sinusulat, it didn't even have a title. It was just called The Book.
Mhm.
And siguro
Mm.
when I was maybe 3/4 done, doon ko palang naisip na, okay, ito ang pangalan ng libro. Parang gano'n.
Mhm, mm.
Yeah.
Ayun. So, medyo babalik lang ako 'no, magba-backtrack lang ako sandali.
Yes.
Anong paborito mong ulam sa karinderya?
Ah, kadalasan na pinupuntahan ko dun would be sinigang, tsaka yeah, I think sinigang, yung sinigang na baboy, gano'n. Usually,
Sinigang na
'pag
baboy,
sa karenderya,
okey.
yeah, yeah.
Okey, bakit? Gusto mo yung may asim pa?
Yung may hagod, gano'n.
Mataba-taba or
Na
malaman?
ano, savory, yun, parang gano'n.
Okey.
Malasa,
Naalala ko nung malasa, nung college
mainit.
ako, iisa lang yung lagi kong ino-order,
Mhm.
which is sisig. Sisig siya.
Right,
And oo, hindi
right.
ako nag-o-order ng sinigang dahil madalas sa karenderya, libre na 'to, 'di ba? Libre na ang
Ah,
sabaw or
yung sabaw, oo,
yung
tama,
sabaw,
yung
oo,
sabaw.
oo.
Yeah,
Oo, okey,
oo.
yeah, that's interesting. Okey,
Interestingly yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sige, no, sige, go ahead, go ahead.
No, interestingly kasi, parang may nag-mention din sa akin na, parang may hahalin tulad niya sa yung libro sa sisig. Kasi daw
Mhm,
parang ano 'to, parang, normally 'di ba yung sisig kinukuha mo siya sa inuman, sa kapag may
mhm.
kasamang beer, ganyan. Pero not necessarily naman na kailangang may beer. So, in a sense yung libro daw is parang, yeah, parang not necessarily na inuman lang, ganyan. May philosophical parts, whatever.
Ayun, may philosophical part.
Ganun.
So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't categorize this as a romance book kasi 'di ba ang romance is my happy ever after. So, dito ba
Yeah.
naipapakita
Well,
mo yung iba't
not to
ibang mukha
spoil.
ng pag-ibig? Oh, not to spoil. Okay,
Ah,
okay, okay.
hindi, I guess siguro, hindi naman sa iba't ibang mukha ng pag-ibig pero,
Mm,
kasi pagdating sa dating 'di ba, iba-iba ang hinahanap diyan, hindi lang dating kung minsan meron yung naghahanap lang ng companionship, naghahanap lang ng mga ka-one night
mhm,
stand, naghahanap ng iba't
mhm,
ibang bagay. So, the thing kasi with what I've experienced is parang until you're really there, you're talking to the person, nasa labas na kayo, nag-iinuman, whatever, nagko-coffee, tsaka mo palang medyo makikita yung sense kung ano ba talaga yung gusto or hinahanap ng taong 'to. So, in a sense, I
mm.
guess yun yung maipapakita ng Karinderya Love Songs na naisulat ko na iba't ibang hinahanap sa dating at iba't ibang mukha
Okey.
ng dating, siguro flavors, gano'n.
Iba't ibang panlasa, okey.
Mhm,
So, I believe naipakita mo dito yung part ng pagchi-cheat or
mhm.
yung iba't ibang mukha nga. Sinadya mo ba 'to or sadyang eto talaga yung estilo mo ng pagsusulat?
Okay. So,
Mm.
it's my first book, so I guess hindi
Mhm,
ko pa sure kung ano yung talagang estilo ko ng pagsusulat. Pero nung sinusulat ko kasi siya, um, ang tendency ko kasi is talagang semi-autobiographical. So,
mhm,
hindi ako magaling na katulad ng ibang manunulat na 'di ba malakas ang super lakas ng imagination, kaya nilang gumawa ng isang buong kwento out of wala or
mhm,
something. Sa akin kailangan may pagkukunan, may paghuhugutan, mga ganyang bagay. So,
mhm,
yeah, in a sense may mga, yun parang semi-autobiographical siya, and then habang sinusulat ko kasi parang nagde-decide ako like, um, is this happening in the present? Kasi
mhm,
eventually I ended up with a POV of the narrator looking back. So, in a sense,
hmm,
I guess the author was also, living in the present and looking back. And parang naging ganun tuloy yung boses ng pagsusulat.
mhm,
Kasi parang ganun na rin yung ginawa ng narrator. He was like in his mid-20s and he was looking back at the dark phase that he had
mhm,
like 2 years ago before the pandemic.
mhm,
And like, well, 2020s, just a few months before the pandemic. And yeah, parang ganun. Yeah, parang
mhm,
ganun yung naging POV niya in the end.
mm. So, puwede ba nating sabihin ayan, sa nawala. Ayan, hello?
Ako ba yung nawala?
Ayan.
Sorry. Hi.
Ayan, okay na.
Ayan,
I
okay
think
na.
okay na. Ayan. Kasi gusto
Yes,
natin
alright.
i-share to, etong book
Wow.
cover. So, gusto
Yes.
kong malaman ulit kung hango ba ito sa totoong buhay, may napagkuhaan
Mhm.
ka ba ng inspirasyon? So,
Mhm.
saan ang galing, no? Sabi mo kanina, I mean, sana
Yes.
hindi mo to sinasabi sa lahat na wala kang wild imaginations tulad ng ibang writer, but if you manage to write a book, I'm sure, you have your own strengths. So, yes, tell
True.
us. Mhm.
Well, in the simplest words, it's really very semi-autobiographical.
Mhm.
The conversations, they were taken as verbatim as I can remember.
Mhm.
To make sure that the people there are unrecognizable, the
Mhm.
details, the names, the situations have been changed. Pero yeah, I guess yung parang tanong kanina na sinadya ko ba, ah hindi ko siguro necessarily sinadya, more like gano'n kasi yung
Mm.
nangyari, gano'n.
Mm,
Kaya
mm.
parang gano'n yung lumabas. Ah, Tapos parang eventually, yeah, kasi I think, yung mga characters, for example, some of them have been composites, some of them have been
Mhm.
like buong experience ko with that person na
Mm.
pinalit-palitan ko na lang ng details. Gano'n. So,
Mhm.
yeah, doon nanggaling mostly, I think. Yeah.
Mhm. Ayun. Bakit naman love songs? May love song ba sa bawat snippet?
Well, I guess parang nung ang una kong working title diyan was Karinderya Love Song. But
Mhm.
then, yung nakita kong kabuuan niya is, yun kasi like meron kasing part dito where the main character, narrates
Mhm.
his, previous dating experience with one of the girls he's currently seeing. So,
Mhm.
I guess doon papasok yung love songs. Like, doon niya ninanarrate yung mga different kinds of women na nakadate niya, yung
Mhm.
and karamihan sa kanila were women who were cheating. Kasi, yun kasi talaga yung gusto kong explore dun sa book. Na the character was originally a very stoic,
Mhm.
like honorable kind of pa-honorable kind of person, but then
Hmm.
after the end of his 5-year relationship, parang all of his beliefs regarding relationships parang biglang nabuwag na alam mo yun na hindi dapat
Mhm.
superficial ng relationship ganyan para mag-survive,
Mhm.
pero
Mhm.
yung superficiality naman ang sumira ay ano 'to yung pagiging non-superficial niya ang somehow sumira sa relationship niya. So parang um yun din yung nakita ko, na 'di ba, in what I've seen is that when people come out of a really long-term serious relationship, they come out with really deep scars which puts them in a dark phase. So some people drink a lot, some people have a whole face, some people like become gym rats, mga ganung bagay. May mga coping mechanisms, and in his case, his coping mechanism was to make well, not necessarily, well, yeah, he in his perspective was to make women cheat because
Mhm.
his 5-year ex cheated on him. And he wanted to confirm na does being superficial would actually get him in bed with these kinds of women, and he did. So
Mhm.
parang it was parang nafulfill yung idea niya na hindi pala dapat masyadong genuine kung gusto mo ng
Mhm.
isang relationship. Parang dagdagan mo ng mga superficiality kasi kung puro ka genuine, wala magsasawa sa'yo yung tao. Parang ganun yung inner
Mm.
belief niya, na nag-push sa kanya doon sa maraming women na kinadate niya who are basically cheating on their own husbands, boyfriends, whatever partners, by sleeping with him. And
Mhm.
yung mga the stories of these women are the love songs somehow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Kasi nasabi dito ni Eros, no, Gen Z stories. Ibalik ko ulit yung blurb
Yes.
dito. Balikan
Yes.
natin. Ang sabi dito, Gen Z, totoo ba daigdig ng Gen Z itong kinabibilangan nito or pwede naman 'to sa ibang henerasyon or sa millennial, ano ba?
Personally hindi ko i-de-define kung sinong magbabasa.
Mm-mm.
Depende na lang kung babasahin nila, matripan nila regardless of their generation, then I will be, I would really appreciate that.
Mm-mm.
Pero yung inikutan ng mundo, the main character kasi is in his early 20s when the events
Mhm.
were happening, and he was with an 18-year-old college student in Katipunan. And
Mhm.
then his experiences, he was, being involved with various kinds of women. There are married older women,
Mhm.
millennial women, and then, the Gen Z women.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess yung inikutan niya mostly nga naman sa Gen Z now that I look at it. Pero like, yeah, I think kasi siya mismo is borderline siya eh. Like he's the youngest millennial kasi if I'm not mistaken 1985 or something, 87 ang
Hmm.
millennial, 1987 to 97 ata.
Oo,
Ang
parang
considered
something
na
like that.
millennial. So the narrator's birth date is 96. So
Mhm.
parang naka-borderline siya na hindi siya masyado
Mm.
sa mga, mainstream millennials na, in their 30s, ganyan.
Mhm.
But he's also not really Gen Z. Pero yeah, parang other than that, I think um yeah, it I would appreciate whoever whatever
Mhm.
generation reads it, although the characters themselves are mostly operating within that Gen Z world and
Mhm.
early millennial late ba yung younger millennial mode, ganun, ganun.
Okay. Do you belong in the Gen Z generation or
Me
sa
personally,
millennial?
no. I'm amongst the I'm 1995, so that makes me like 2 years too early for Gen Z. Yes. So younger millennial, younger. Yeah. Ay, naka-mute ka ata. Ayan. I cannot hear your audio. Is it me or ayun. I can hear something now. Ayan.
Ayan, okay na. Yan, I
All right.
hope okay na.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, how about, let's talk about naman, bago tayo, okay, nag-dive in tayo sandali, no? Sa loob ng Karinderya Love Song. Lumabas muna tayo, no?
Okay.
Panandalian. Gusto kong malaman, paano naman tong book cover mo? Tong book cover design ng Karinderya Love Songs. Very interesting. Yung color theme niya, I don't think it even belongs to Gen Z. Sorry,
I
I'm
know.
still in that mode. Yeah, so sadya ba
Yeah.
to? Ganyan ba talaga?
Yeah, okay. So, going to the cover, 'di ba iba nga naman 'di ba yung mga modern
Mm-mm.
na targeting Gen Z readers na book covers because I looked around.
Mm-mm.
The color scheme is based on the guy's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we go to the ano tawag dito? Sige, dito na lang. Oops. Actually,
Ayan.
ewan ko, for the viewers, yeah, andun yung painting na ginawa ng artist. Thank you so much
Mm-mm.
kay James Guerrero. So, the color is, ano to? Ang instruction ko kasi dun sa artist is, I want to show that the guy here we're portraying is of Cordilleran descent,
Oh.
specifically of the Kankanai tribe, which I am.
Mm-mm.
And,
Mm-mm.
yun nga, semi-autobiographical.
Ah, nga.
So, he's wearing a modernized parang Cordilleran garb. So the
Mm-hmm.
patterns and the colors are mostly dominantly red and yellows, and then yung damit niya is yun, may mga patterns yan. When you go closer, it's probably not very visible right now, pero may patterns yan na stuff na of the Kankanai tribe. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of I was thinking kasi how do I portray that this guy is from the north, like the highland
Mm-hmm.
indigenous north, and the visual
Mm-hmm.
way to do that is to make him wear like alangan naman pagbabahagin ko siya, 'di ba? That's unrealistic. So I knew
Oo.
it's kind of a thing now, but ang tawag dito
Mm-mm.
yeah, like there are specialty shops who specialize in creating these modernized kind of garbs. So like
Mm-mm.
Nardas, mga ganyan. So mga ganong bagay. So
Mm-mm.
that's what he's wearing. And then the girl is um I did my best not to portray a very particular person from my experience. So I just
Mm-hmm.
gave the artist an idea. This is the technically this is the narrator and Kayla from the book,
Mm-hmm.
the main characters in the book. And I gave the idea like this is Kayla's personality to the
Mm-hmm.
artist, and then ganito yung pananamit niya, ganito yung postura niya. She's an inch or so taller than the narrator, ganyan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then tsaka nabuo yung kanyang ano to, yung kanyang pananamit. And then nasa loob sila ng isang karinderya. And this is technically based on, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 22 or something, or
Mm-hmm.
21, where yung almost ending na where they went back to Baguio to eat at a particular karinderya. So this scene is based from that particular chapter,
Mm-hmm.
and the colors are based on the guy's clothing.
Ayun. Ang ganda. Ang ganda ng sagot. So, I want to know kung nakaapekto sa personality ng character, no, the protagonist, nakaapekto ba yung kung saan siya nanggaling, yung origin niya, sa paniniwala niya sa pag-ibig? Or would you say na kahit taga Cordillera siya, basically modernized pa rin yung paniniwala niya sa pag-ibig? Nakaapekto ba?
Well, in a sense, I guess modernized, kung modernized yung paniniwala niya sa pag-ibig. Ang siguro mga parts na naka-apekto is yung sa kanyang mannerism. Kasi for example, I'm not sure kung ganito pa rin ngayon, pero back then kasi it was like a perspective that I had that Cordilleran men are like, when you compare it to ano to,
Mhm.
people in the lowlands, are a little more stoic and not too showy with affection. Like alam mo yun, yung kapag may nakapag dati, like maybe
Mm.
10 years ago nung bata pa ako dito sa Baguio, kapag nakakakita ka ng mga nagpapa-cute na couple, siguro mga 7 or 8 times out of 10 turista yan, gano'n. Kasi hindi
Ah.
gano'n ka-showy. Hindi gano'n ka-showy, or I don't know, like in my experience, I could my experience could be different
Mhm.
from other Cordillerans, pero parang gano'n kasi yung kinalakihan kong nakita. And that's also what I saw
Mhm.
with my own family na like I thought, a married couple were like just partners raising children, because I never really
Mhm.
saw affection, like open displays of affection, the same way I would see this like parents from Manila or parents from Pangasinan, mga ganyan na may mga terms of endearment. Although may mga terms of endearment din
Mhm.
naman dito, pero parang alam mo yun, hindi ganun ka sweet, na openly sweet.
Mhm.
So I kind of, that is something I adopted, and it's something that the narrator has also adopted in his previous actual relationships, and it's
Mhm.
something that he is actively trying to change in his dating, na parang
Mhm.
ano to, hindi na dapat siya masyadong not conservative, reserved. So
Mhm.
he's not necessarily conservative, but he grew up being reserved. So that's something he's trying
Mhm.
to change with himself in his dating experience. Another thing is yung mga adventures nila dito, na like they go to these places where tourists don't usually go. At least even
Mhm.
until now, kasi like pag pumunta ka sa Cowboy Town ng La Trinidad, yung mga inuman doon na mga usual na pupunta doon, mga minero, mga magsasakang
Mm.
Cordilleran, mga Torogi, gano'n. Mga
Mm.
basta may certain culture doon, like when you go
Mm.
to Ampersand here in Baguio City, that's where like party stuff kind of people, even tourists know about it. Tourists go there. You go to these kinds of bars, Baguio Country Sound, Cowboy Town. The dancing there is but different. May mga patayaw-tayaw silang mga ganyan, whatever. And these things come up in the book because
Mhm.
this is where he brings Kayla, the narrator,
Mhm.
for them to experience
Mhm.
these kinds of things. And yeah, parang mga ganong bagay, I guess, in that sense, doon naka-influence yung kanyang
Mhm.
background.
Mhm. Okay, so that's also very interesting kasi this is the first time dito sa Eight Letters, and I believe hindi lang sa Eight Letters but also like in other book, in the books that I've read, to hear about the culture of people from the Cordillera. I don't think I have a lot of information um, coming from this side of the Philippines kasi laging, usually, Manila, minsan
True,
Visayas, or
true.
ngayon Mindanao is also getting also the spotlight. And well, isingit ko lang sa darating na Indie PubCon, magkakaroon din ng spotlight ang Ilocos region. And I think sakop yan, the northern part of the Philippines. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Before I get to my next question, gusto ko lang magbasa ng mga comments kasi may isang question dito. Ayan.
Oh, okey,
So,
hindi ko nakita.
ayan.
Wait, sige, okey.
Oo. Ayan.
Ay,
So,
wow.
sabi ni Kevin, congrats.
Hey, thanks,
Congrats, John.
Kevin. Thank you.
Ayan. Ayan. Si Rosie,
Thanks,
congratulations.
you, Rosie.
Facebook user, heart, heart.
Hi.
Sabi rin ni
Ay,
Jenny,
wow.
congratulations.
Salamat
Hindi ko
po.
kita yung Facebook user lang. Kare-kare, the
Oh,
best.
kare-kare. Wow, yeah, yeah.
Gusto ko
Tamis.
niyan. Oo. Pero
True.
you have to cook it perfectly, otherwise hindi yan masarap. Pero
Yeah,
kailangan
yeah,
yung texture is perfect.
yeah.
Okay. Sabi rin, ito, my question si Kevin. The premise of this kind of film influence you? Ayan. So, gusto mo ba
Um,
sagutin?
yes, sure thing. Thanks for the
Mm-hmm.
question, Kevin. And yeah, I saw. By the way, I saw your launch few days ago. It's great. Anyway, ang tawag dito, I wasn't watching a particular film when I was writing it. So I guess I wouldn't say that it had like I had no inspiration from films whatsoever, but like I was not. I had no films in mind when I wrote it. Yeah. So mostly mostly sa ano siya, mostly sa experience siya. I guess dun nahugot. Hi, Cindy. Oh, Cindy is away for a moment. I am not sure if I'm still live. Oh, oh hi.
Ayan, so
Hi.
sorry. I'm trying to
No worries.
hello, hello. Yan. I'm trying to
Sige.
change
Yeah.
devices.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no
eto.
worries.
Uh, so, sabi mo nga, based ito,
Yeah.
well, semi-autobiographical.
Yeah.
What does it even mean?
Hindi, yun lang. Like, ang tawag dito? Yeah, so it came from experience, from my own experience, but various details and events have been changed. Number one, to ensure that like no one is recognizable there. But more importantly, to actually make it a more cohesive narrative.
Mhm.
Yeah, to make it a bit more of a cohesive narrative. Kasi, yun nga, parang it is partly this book is a personally like an act of catharsis for me. Because me as the author, I was also trying to process various experiences in the past, and I guess writing about it is one of those ways of me to process it. So yeah, in that sense,
Mhm.
ganun.
Ayun. Wow. Ginawa mo ba tong semi-autobiographical? Also, maybe you wanna also protect, the past relationships that you had. Pwede ba nating sabihin yon to protect them in a way?
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know about protect, pero parang as an artist, once I brought out this work, I wanted it to be like one thing I was realizing while I was finishing the book was that ano to? I was watching ang tawag dito? This stand-up comedy show by Dave Chappelle, and he was talking about how alam mo yun, na parang he would be finishing his parang his body of work and stuff. And for me, it also felt like um parang I'm bringing out something and people could interpret it in ways that I might not imagine. Kasi I have received various comments from readers na sometimes I didn't see it that way, and sometimes they're getting it the way I intended. Kasi hindi naman very black and white how I intended the story, and I don't really have an agenda with the story. It's just a story,
Mhm.
and yun parang doon ko nung lumabas yung libro doon ko nakita na iba't iba yung potential na pagkaka-interpret nito. So,
Mhm.
on my end, I made sure na lang na as I bring out this book, then parang it would be seen as its own. So I just made sure na parang alam mo yun na parang it wouldn't be an issue of, "Uy, sino itong pinag-uusapan mong 'to? Sino 'tong kinukuwento mo na 'to?" Parang gano'n.
Mhm.
So parang yeah. So in that sense, that's why it was written the way it was written, and that's why
Mhm.
certain details have been changed the way they were changed.
Mhm. Okay, so as per my understanding, love continues to evolve and naipakita mo siya dito sa Karinderya love songs. No? You used a character from the Cordillera. I wouldn't say na na backwards sila. I would say maybe conservative as you mentioned kung paano mo sila dinescribe. So um and eto bang protagonist mo, he's also showy or he's also yeah, like similar in a similar way. Ganun din siya. Like conservative or not
I
showy.
wouldn't really call him
Mhm.
conservative, more reserved. So, in
Reserved.
terms of beliefs, na his belief is not really conservative, but he
Mhm.
is used to being reserved. He's not showy, and he thinks a lot of like a lot of certain things that are mainstream in relationships are rather superficial.
Mhm.
However, as yun nga, as readers will find, as the book goes on, it shows na when his relationship ended up, yun yung really core na emotion doon is when his 5-year relationship broke down rather. Parang doon nagbago yung kanyang pananaw na he started to change everything about himself.
Mhm.
Like yun nga, like being less reserved, being more flirtatious, mga ganyang bagay.
Mhm. So
Yeah, and
nag-experiment siya
being
sa
yeah.
sarili niya. It,
Yes.
yes, at gumamit siya ng dating app.
Yeah.
Um, mhm. So would you say using a dating app did it or nag like is it the reason or paano ba nag-increase ba yung opportunity niya well marami siyang nakadate dito no using the dating app but what I
Mhm.
wanna ask is yung is he going out there for the sake of companionship or is it to challenge his beliefs or to challenge himself or may gusto ba siyang patunayan or anong aim niya bakit siya why did he put himself out there like he kasi ang sa tingin ko ha for those people who are
Mhm.
using the app um they're willing to be vulnerable in a way. So like he's already vulnerable after the relationship broke down. And then mas willing ka pa mas willing ka pang ilabas ang sarili mo sa ibang tao. Like you're willing to open up. Like correct me if I'm wrong. If you get into a dating app, okay, I'm also speaking from my
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You get to know yourself better or kasi kailangan mong makipag-usap eh. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just unless it's just sex and all that or palitan lang ng numbers or whatever. Pero would you say na using these app sort of help him in a way develop himself or nagkaroon ba ng character development dito yun medyo random or random yung
Mhm.
yung mga questions pero
Yeah.
yeah what did or how did the app affect him in a way.
Um, from the narrator's perspective, the app is just one of his well, it's not naman just, pero it is one of his pipelines.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a part there where he talks to his friend about coming across this controversial book on dating. I didn't name it then, but there in the book. But I mean, yeah, it's basically called The Game, Rules of the Game by Neil Strauss. It's largely considered to be misogynistic because it teaches men how to pick up women. So he starts using the tactics he learns here. He actually starts approaching people in bars, in cafes, in the streets. And it comes out here. Meron yung mga kanyang failures, meron yung kanyang mga na actual na nakadate na minit nilang like, in-approach nilang sa cafe. And then
Mm-hmm.
syempre meron yung ganyan, meron yung pipeline na like offline, you go approach people, which is in itself a very big way of putting yourself out there because this really puts you in the crosshairs of rejection and embarrassment. And like if you look at yourself very critically, you'll see how pathetic it looks from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you're going out, you're trying it. And when you're out there doing that, at least from the narrator's perspective, it felt great. And one of the other pipelines is yun sa online dating. Meron bang naging character development in doon sa yeah, I'm going to say yes, meron, pero like I think it depends on a person's view of what character development is, because some readers have told me that they didn't feel that there was a character development, although they did like how the
Mm-hmm.
story went and how writing was done. So at least, di ba, kahit paano may plus points pa rin na nagustuhan nila kahit paano. But yeah, like so to other people, they saw how the character developed. Others, they don't think it's character development. I'm not going to argue whether they're right or wrong. But on my end, parang ang development, siguro ang impact na lang nung dating app sa kanya is yung experience niya na nakuha niya. Kasi doon nga
Mm-hmm.
sa kwento, most of the people he met on the dating app were single. And well, it's in the book cover naman, so it's not really a spoiler. Pero like yun nga, like as said in the description, he actually has a hard time sleeping with single women. He couldn't get himself hard. Like he's not turned on enough if the woman is not cheating on someone by sleeping with him. So most of the women he met in the dating app, unless they're actually like they're actually there with an actual partner and they're there
Mm-hmm.
anyway, then he doesn't really successfully sleep with them. Instead, most of the others he did sleep with were people he actually approached or people he met, in other situations. Like there was that coworker, and then there was that like friend or whatever, ganyan. So mga ganong
Mm-hmm.
bagay. I think ang main na naka affect sa character niya is yung nakita niya yung I don't know kung ugali or personality ng mga women na naka-sleep with niya. Kasi yun
Mm-hmm.
nga, like when you're in that in very intimate moment, even if like even if there is no declaration of anything serious whatsoever, it is a very intimate and vulnerable moment
Mm-hmm.
between the two of you, between the two of them. And so parang this is in a sense parang his experience of going around sleeping with committed women is a way for him to validate his inner belief na superficiality, will destroy everything anyway, and it doesn't matter, like doing a gentlemanly distance from committed women is not necessarily honorable, like screw honor, mga ganong kind of inner beliefs na niya. And yeah, so parang yun yung parang nakita niya rin na even if that is the case, like these women also have three-dimensional personalities and thoughts and emotions na kanyang na-explore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yun. That's the book is also interesting in a way because it changed yung usual perspective na lalaki yung usually na nag-cheat or
Mhm.
at least no, at least sa mga like in reality. But it also shows na hello, like women also have their needs, women also have their desires. So kumbaga nagpagamit si nagpagamit itong si John sa mga,
Well,
would you say that,
uh,
or I
well, I guess what the narrator has learned is that women are
mm,
human beings capable of
mhm,
making, good things that men do, and also the bad things. So,
mhm,
human being things that are
mhm,
good and bad.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope hindi masyadong nilagay sa bad light yung mga babae in a way kasi yes, of course we're humans, but also may mga times kasi no na may mga witch hunt, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's what you did in this book.
Mm.
Ito, there's another comment here by Maynard Alden Akain. The book for me is reality. Like it may happen to other people, not necessarily exact same scenarios, but they're possible. And I like that it really took you to places that the narrator went. The descriptions were very detailed. It's as if you were there with Kyla too, rooting for a sequel. And an explanation of the fainting in a cave scene. Ano
Yeah.
yun?
Yeah. Right. Uh,
May nahimatay.
I'm not sure about the sequel, but thank you so much,
Uh-huh.
Maynard.
Mhm.
The fainting in the cave. Right. So it's based on. Well, I didn't really faint, but there is this part, I think that was chapter 5 or 6, where the narrator talks about going up this hill, this big hill that just keeps going on and on and on, and it's like the
Mhm.
middle of the night because it's an ultra marathon. So I've also experienced this kind of like parang grueling climb on my first 55-kilometer run, which took me an embarrassing 16 hours to do. So yeah, there was a point there where I was really super exhausted, and I was having these thoughts na ang tawag dito na parang alam mo yun, like
Mhm.
when you're running for that long and you're that tired and your mind is tired, your body's tired, things change inside you. And yeah, I'm not going to, I don't think I can explain that scene, but that scene is partly inspired from
Mhm.
that experience. Yeah.
Okay, ayan. So, Maynard, may
Thank you,
kasagutan ka
Maynard.
na, I hope. Ayan. So, sabi din ni Romel, ayan, good job, John. And another
Salamat.
comment, this one's interesting as well. I feel like that the character's development was not so in your face, but I appreciate it because it shows the reality of growing, which is not just a straight line. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Ayan.
Yeah,
So,
I
love is
get.
not,
Hmm.
not a straight
Yeah, it's
line
not a straight
as well.
line. Yes.
A straight line. And nako, talk about getting married is not also a straight line.
Yes, that's true.
Mm, mm,
Definitely true.
ayan.
And marriage is not
Eto,
it's not an
mm.
absolute, gano'n. Anyway, yes.
Oo, naku, marriage is also not absolute.
True.
So, as like one of the stories here, no, na he slept with a married woman.
Yes.
So, eto, bago
Mhm.
tayo magbasa ng excerpt, could you tell us, not just the character development, pero nagkaroon ba ng author or writer's development, as you're writing the book, in the process, nagkaroon ba ng resolution from your end?
Okay. So, when I first started writing, I actually ended up with 3 different novel drafts. So,
Mhm. Wow.
parang I started writing 2020, and in that span of 2
Mhm.
years, I wrote 3 novel drafts na magkakaiba ang kwento, and tinapon ko yung lahat until mabuo ko itong kwento na ito, which is basically the 4th main draft. Of course, itong 4th draft na 'to nagkaroon pa ng maraming revisions and edits whatsoever. Pero parang ang una kasi is may parang tatlong iba-ibang kwento akong sinubukang isulat. And these
Mhm.
things, yung una meron yung partial lang na experience, yung pangalawa parang imagination ko lang ganyan, or pangatlo parang may
Mhm.
tina-try lang akong i-please na audience, mga gano'ng bagay. And then pang-apat, eventually
Mhm.
parang alam mo yun na parang sulat ka ng sulat everyday, because that's what I would do, especially in the earlier
Mhm.
parts of like 2020, 2021. I would wake up at
Mhm.
4 excuse me, I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would write for like 4 hours, and before I do my other writing work that actually pays my rent and stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I would do that on a consistent 4 to 5 days every week basis. So I did produce a good amount of material, pero yun nga, tinatapon ko din. And parang napapagod ako doon na ano ba to, parang trabaho na trabaho, walang lumalabas. And that was because I was
Mhm.
trying to write something that didn't really feel true to me. So in a sense, after going through those three drafts and like finally actually creating a book with this fourth one that turned out to be Karinderya love songs, I
Mhm.
discovered what is really true to me, and yun nga, like it's a story that actually matters to me, or something that I can really tell.
Mhm.
And as yun din yung while writing about the story, kasi some of the events there happened while I was writing it. And then sinulat ko na lang siya as if it's happening, at that time, nung
Mhm.
2020, ganyan. Pero yeah, so like in a sense, writing about those as well helped me process it nga. So in that sense, it's uh, a, a catharsis for me as a writer. And yeah, parang parang nilabas mong demonyo rin yun eh, kasi parang yun nga, it's a narrator talking about his dark face. And I guess
Mhm.
in a sense, yun nga, parang it's stories from my own dark face that some of them too long to tell in a drinking session with friends, so they never
Mhm.
really quite came out the same way it came out in the book. Parang ganun. Yeah, so
Parang
yeah,
ano,
in that
parang
sense it's
kwento ko yung love story ko, parang gano'n. Parang kwento ko yung love story ko, pero susulat ko na lang siya.
parang ganun. Parang ang dami mo
Okey.
kasing kukwento eh, parang you know about this girl na na I met sa Starbucks nung yung mga ganyan, or this girl I met sa Bumble nung yung mga ganun.
Mm.
It's too many to tell in a in a drinking session.
Oo, oo. "Oh, ito na, bilhin mo na lang 'to." Okey.
Pwede. Yeah.
Oo. Well, it's also, well, I'm amazed 'no, na sinulat mo siya during the pandemic when it's not even possible to get out or to go out.
Yes.
Ano bang year ito, itong setting na 'to?
So the book setting is around
Mhm.
merong parts na he refers to in 2018 and 2019. But
Mhm.
the present events were happening 2020 and then later 2022. Kasi the
Mhm.
novel really starts in 2022. I think
Mhm.
I put there June 2022. He is in LU. He's looking at
Mhm.
these girls in like all these people finally starting to go out, and he has this conversation with a woman who accuses him of emotional abuse. And yun nga, parang this kind of triggers him to write. uh, Parang ginawa ko na lang ganun yung narrative para medyo mas maganda yung flow niya, pero parang ganun yung naging daan ng narrative, na he starts writing in a notebook by the sea about
Mhm.
what happened to him in 2020, parang ganun. And whatever is happening in 2020, there are references to what happened in 2018 and 2019, where the breakup of the 5-year relationship actually happened.
So
So
si
ganun.
Kyla ba yung, nasa 5-year relationship or is Kyla the game changer?
Um, no, Kyla is, well, I think to say Kyla is the game changer is a bit of an overstatement. It's more that
Mhm.
um I guess Kyla came at a time when the narrator's wounds are finally have finally stopped rotting and infecting.
Mhm.
So the wounds have not yet really healed, but the first steps of healing have begun. So instead of more corruption, um,
Mhm.
kasi yun nga, in the story, Kyla is the first single woman he was able to actually sleep with. Kasi every time he meets a single woman, he can't do it. Kailangan
Okay, so
committed, gano'n.
this time it
Yeah,
worked.
parang what? Sorry?
This time it worked?
It worked,
Kasi
yeah.
single siya.
This time it worked, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
And parang doon, yeah, parang in that sense, he knew that there was something special. Well, there was something with their dynamic.
Mhm.
And yeah, not to spoil, pero yun nga, parang
Mhm.
doon nasundan yung kwento. Parang ganun.
Mhm. Okay, so sa dami ng ano 'no, sorry last na lang talaga bago yung
Yeah, sure.
excerpt.
Go
Sa
ahead.
sa dami ng naka-date niya, you know, because it feels like kasi sabi mo nga, it only work kapag, the girl is cheating on someone else.
Yes.
So, that means he wants to hurt someone else or ano ba, like, towards the end, um mas na-hurt ba siya or yun nga walang nagbago sa buhay niya or he ended up more how should we put it? More damage?
I guess that's the thing that I wanted to explore with it as well. Na
Mhm,
parang, how do you know when your wounds have actually healed? Na how do you
mm,
know that? Kasi, in movies, there are these turning points where the character realizes something and he changes, right? So it's kind of pretty obvious. Pero yun nga, na parang in this case, is it because it was Kyla that he was finally able to sleep with a single girl, or
mm,
it just so happens that he was finally being able to heal, that Kyla
mm,
came into his life. And even then, like, why was he starting to heal? Is it because enough time has passed? Is it something that happened to him? We're not really sure because in the narrator's experience, there was no triggering moment where a major realization happened, unlike what happens in movies and in most books that I've seen that
mhm,
tackles this kind of material. So, yun parang sa kanya yung parang paghihilom niya na parang ang tanong kasi is, "Oh, so nagbago ba siya?" In a sense, oo,
mhm,
nagbago siya pero parang dahil saan? Yun ang parang hindi
mhm,
madaling i-pinpoint na,
mm,
kasi, sa 2022, in the present, the narrator no longer needs to have sex with a committed woman for him to be able to do
mm,
it successfully. Like, he can do it with a single woman already.
mm,
That's fine with
mm,
him, not necessarily Kayla. Pero yun nga, parang, dahil ba na-meet niya si Kayla, gano'n ba? Not necessarily, pero probably may contribution si Kayla. Pero yun nga, hindi linear yung kanyang
mm,
growth. And,
mhm,
I think gano'n naman talaga, in my experience, gano'n talaga ang growth. Sometimes hindi mo mapi-pinpoint kung saan ka nagbago
mhm,
or yun, yung mga relationship. Some relationships relationships don't break all at once. They have these little cracks happening, and then when the breakdown happens, it just seems sudden, but you know, it's been building up for some time. Ganon.
Parang hindi yeah, hindi natin mapi-pinpoint na, "Oh, ito kasalanan niya, kasalanan
Yeah.
nito," or 'di
Yeah.
ba? Gano'n naman 'pag naghihiwalay, hindi
Yeah.
puwedeng like, you cannot just blame one person. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so I'm sure dun sa 5-year relationship na yun, you know, he played his part. So, by the way, before again we get to the excerpt reading, I just wanna share with you guys that you can get Karinderya love songs, for only 549 pesos. We are now accepting, or we can now accept credit card, payment, Visa, Mastercard, and PayPal. Ayan, so
Yeah.
that that's available on our website. But as well as on our other platforms such as Lazada and Shopee. So please, but if I would, if I could push you guys, can you order in Lazada because mas madaling i-drop off. Ayan, mas malapit. Okay.
Lazada na
Ayan.
lang gano'n.
Lazada na, please, please.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So there you go. There you have it. So John, we're ready for your reading. Okay.
Yes.
Ito ba ang favorite part mo or why did you choose this excerpt?
I after I saw the response to my social media posts, I've noticed kasi that one particular quote has been largely highlighted by people on Book Talk, on Instagram, on Booksta, and
Mhm.
even for people who message me privately that they like a particular portion of it. So I'm going to read from ang tawag dito. This is chapter 5.
Mhm.
I'll read from page 64 to 68. Is that length okay, or is it too?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah. The ang tawag dito. A good number of people have had some really nice feedback on some portions of this chapter. So I'll read from this chapter. One moment. Chapter 5. On our third date, Kyla told me about the scene she saw at the hospital that wasn't there. It was a Sunday night, and Kyla and I were up late in my condo chatting over a bottle of Moe, a fat slice of Gouda, and a branch of black grapes. She looted our expensive dinner from her parents' pantry. To contribute, I ordered a bowl of salad, some roasted herb chicken, and a pack of trail mix from Grab with free delivery. We finished half our dinner, indulged in several rounds of carnal desserts, then chatted about various things. We turned to the subject of planets and worlds colliding and love. We started with Thea. Do you know the story about Thea, the moon, and the earth? I asked. Kyla stared at me without speaking. I could almost hear the champagne dripping between the gears that cranked behind her forehead. Thea was a heavenly goddess who fell in love with a mortal living on earth, she started. But because the laws of heaven forbid immortals from falling in love with mortals, for obvious reasons, she decided to watch over the mortal from afar instead. Kyla finished the rest of the moe while I nibbled on the remaining Gouda. The years passed, she continued. To the mortal, it felt like a lifetime. But to Thea, it was over in the blink of an eye. She couldn't contain her grief. Driven mad by despair, Thea made this strange, wave like dance and approached the earth. She did it slowly for a couple million years, until, like a drunk swaying and staggering, she hit the earth. She crashed on earth so hard her body shattered, blending with the rest of the earth's core and scattering all over the atmosphere, where they floated in space for billions of years, until they formed the piece of rock we now call the moon. There was one thin piece of Gouda left, and I stretched my hand over when Kyla suddenly snatched it away and popped it in her mouth. She smirked at me, satisfied with herself. I sighed and drank a glass of water. Looks like someone has been reading the giant impact hypothesis. My grades are better in the sciences, she said. I nodded. According to a derivative of the hypothesis, much of the Earth's water originated on the ancient planet Theia. So when the crash happened billions of years ago and the moon was formed, the Earth started evolving to a point where intelligent life can grow. Intelligent life grows from major crashes, huh? Kayla sniffed. When we're lucky, I shrugged, and thought about those two planets, two different worlds with their own elements, their own rules. They exist in the same universe, orbiting the same galaxy, sighting each other but never touching. What is possible in one world might be mere fantasy in the other, but something happens and they collide. The rules, elements, realities, everything is changed. If luck is around, intelligent life might arise from the carnage. From planets, we found ourselves drawn strangely to the topic of love. Aside from her abortion, Kayla never mentioned her ex again. Until that night. We talked about her breakup with her 4-year ex. Then we talked about my breakup with my 5-year ex. She had hers from middle school to senior high. Mine began at the end of high school and ended before college graduation. We concluded we were too young. We shouldn't have stayed in a long term relationship. We talked about the various events, the little details that made tiny, almost indelible cracks until everything came crashing down. Relationships rarely break all at once. Like planets colliding, they take time. But the realizations, the painful episodes, the breakup itself, they explode suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere. We learn our lessons through the broken shards we pick up piece by piece later, when everything is over and apologies are realized too late. There we go. How's that?
Okay, great. Wow, John, can you tell me, isa ka bang host?
Baka maganda kasi yung mic. Ayan. Hi, Cindy.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that reading, John. Although I really
Thank you.
enjoyed, I would say I enjoyed the whole of it, but I just kind of wondering bakit ito yung napili mo. Like, you talk about the planets and stuff. And then later on, you came into, their, or how or what happened to them, to Kyla
Mhm.
and to this guy. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was kind of like expecting, no, Karinderya love songs. I was expecting, okay, Tagalog to, or ano, because Karinderya is very, very Tagalog.
I know.
And okay, English pala siya.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
English siya.
English siya.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
So, ayan. Well, well, at least, it's for an international audience. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much, John. I have so much more to ask, but nakaisang oras na tayo. One
Oh,
hour
yeah, yeah,
and
we still have another one coming in, right? Si ano,
yes,
Paghilom, I
well,
think?
paghilo, but the problem is nawalan sila ng kuryente, so we're going to reschedule that.
Ouch.
So, yeah.
Ouch.
Yun. So, ingat-ingat,
Sayang
maulan.
naman.
So,
Yeah,
you're
yung
in
bagyo.
you're in Baguio. I'm not sure how is the weather over there, because
Yeah, it's cold, it's gray,
uh-huh,
it's cuddle weather over here, yeah.
cuddle weather. Dito dyan, dito, like, okay, I'm in Cebu, and it's okay enough talking about the weather. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? I-segue ko lang, no. When
Mm.
you date people, I don't think it's a good idea to talk about the weather. Kasi like, okay, you could have something else to talk about, something more interesting, but you are talking about the weather,
Mhm.
That's,
I don't think we normally talk about the weather though. That's like a Western thing, I think, right? Like
I
normally.
met
Mm. Oh,
I met people who talk about
you've met people who
yeah,
talk
I
about the
met people like,
weather.
what
Uh-huh.
what
How
yeah,
did the
you're
date
talking about.
go? Wale.
I don't remember. No, forgotten. Like,
Yeah.
weather, really?
Yeah.
Yun. So yun, dating tips. I think, yeah, forget about the weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, John, such a pleasure to have you here dito sa Eight Letters Facebook Live.
Thank you
We
so
have
much for having
another
me.
virtual book launch. Yeah. So Karinderya Love Songs, please get it on our website or on Lazada, Shopee platforms of Eight Letters. It's only 549 pesos, so murang-mura. Yeah, it's worth it for sure. And yes, so John, saan ka ba namin mahanap?
Sa ngayon kung nasa Baguio kayo, tara meron sa Rumors, mag-inuman tayo doon. It would be fun. But for any details about my work, please feel free to visit my website johnpucay.com, johnpucay.com. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I don't use Facebook much. Medyo ignored na yung Twitter ko. Pero yeah, sure. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. And for more official correspondence, feel free to use the contact form on my website.
Ayun. Thank you, John. I was
Okay.
expecting you're gonna tell us a radio station or something. Okay.
Well, 99.9 country. Yung mga ganyan.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I was expecting
Welcome.
that.
Mga ganun.
I'm
Wowzer.
disappointed.
Dito sa
Okay.
Baguio meron yan. I'm not sure kung ano yung country, like every time you're here, if when you're in Baguio and you're in the taxi, usually
Mhm.
that's the station they're playing. Like 99.9 country.
That's not a
Kailians, let's listen to some country songs. So mga ganun. Yeah. So
that's not a
yeah.
Gen Z thing anymore. But yeah,
No, it's not. Not
not
at all.
not at all.
I
Okay,
mean the
thank you
cab
so much.
drivers, right? So, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cab
Mm,
drivers. Yeah, if you well.
kind of.
All right, all right. Thank you, and
Maraming salamat, Cindy.
maraming
Maraming salamat for having me here. And you have a
our
nice
cups.
time there in Cebu.
Oh yeah, we need a
Cheers.
refill.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly. Ingat.
Ayan. Thank you so much, and bye
Thank you so much.
everyone.
Take